All right. So the first thing I wanted to talk about, because I'm from Hawaii, is a Hawaiian principle. If you write nothing else down, this is probably the thing you can take away, but we're going to do a quick audience participation here, right? So everybody say it with me. Kīnāʻole. Kīnāʻole. All right, so when I see you guys afterwards at the parties and stuff, I want you guys to say Kīnāʻole, all right? So what this means is I will do the right thing at the right way, at the right time, in the right place, to the right person, for the right reason, with the right feeling the first time I do it. And that pretty much embodies, I think, what a leader needs to be, right? And that applies to anything in life, the way we treat other people, the way we treat our family, whatever it is. And the beautiful thing about this is Kīnāʻole actually means, ole means without, kina means blemish or flaw, right? So it's without blemish or flaw is kind of the literal translation, but most Hawaiian words have more of a more poetic, philosophical type of translation, and that's what Kīnāʻole means. So one more time, Kīnāʻole. Good job. All right, so I'm going to go through 5 steps to become a better leader. The first one is, and I like systems, right? So this is kind of a system. I'm going to give you a takeaway. I'm going to give you a resource. I'm going to give you a question you can ask yourself for personal accountability or for an accountability partner to ask you on a regular basis. So the first one is get your PhD in leadership. We do a lot of time, you spend a lot of time doing trainings on different things and studying different things, studying the market, being an expert in real estate, but I think we don't spend enough time studying leadership and actually getting good at it and understanding that it's a PhD. It takes 8 years. It takes hundreds of thousands of dollars. I probably spent $100,000 in the last 4 years on conferences, coaching, resources to become a better leader. It's something I'm obsessed about every single day because I know how important it is, and I have a high standard I got to uphold for the people that choose to follow me in my organization. We talked about that. So the resource, I mean, there's tons of resources, right? But this is kind of a staple. It's a 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. So if you need a book to read afterwards, go check that out. And just ask yourself every day, we have these, we time block and we do our schedule. Like, are you doing something on a daily basis to become a better leader? Are you reading a book, listening to a podcast, having a conversation? Do something every single day. Just build it in 10, 15 minutes. But if you want to grow your leadership skills, it's got to be an investment of time, and you got to consciously be intentional about it. So ask yourself every day, what are you doing to get better? Okay, I'm going to do a quick show of hands here. Who in the audience thinks that they are the absolute best real estate agent in their market, can provide service to their clients like no one else can? Does anybody believe that? I mean, like, seriously, like, raise your hand. If you don't believe that, like, wow, what are you, like, second rate? Why are you even here? All right, so of the people, keep your hands up that believe this. How many of you guys have a team? If you guys have a team? Is it more than 10 people? More than 20 people? We got a couple, right? We got a couple over here. I'm a big believer that nobody's special. Okay, I say this all the time. And if this might be one of the biggest limiting mindsets for leaders is they think they're special. They think that they're the only ones that can provide the service that they can provide. They're the only ones that can do certain tasks. And if you believe that, it's going to hold you back from ever growing a large organization because you're going to hold on to too many things that you're going to do yourself. I love this quote, right? You're not special, you're not a beautiful or unique snowflake, you're some decaying organic matter as everything else, right? Your mom lied to you, you're not special. So you got to be able to trust people, and you got to be able to empower them. They're not going to follow you if you're not empowering them and giving them the types of duties that maybe you don't think they deserve to have or they're not ready to take on. That was something I learned in my time in the governor's office. I was like 25 years old, and I was doing a job representing a governor in the community, and that was not something I was qualified for, but it was something that she recognized I had potential to do, and she trusted me to do that, and I try and carry that on throughout the rest of life and everything that we do. Good books, Who Not How and Ego is the Enemy, Ryan Holiday and Ben Hardy. If you need some books on just how to get over that limiting mindset of it's the who, not the how, right? People get caught up in how am I going to do something versus who can I get to do it? Who can I get to bring that skill set that I don't have? Who can take on the things that I'm already doing that I don't need to do and I can spend my time on other things? So 2 good takeaways. And then ask yourself, what are the things that you're doing on a daily basis that you think nobody else can do? And really examine if that's actually true. Get a third party, get a coach, get somebody to really look at those things, because I bet there's a lot of things that you do that is absolutely not necessary for you to do, and you're limiting yourself by time and effort. You could expand your time and effort doing other things if you're not doing those things on your own. So that should be a daily basis. Every time I do something on a continuous basis, I think to myself, is this something I could give somebody else to do or trust somebody else to take on? Because I could probably be spending my time growing the team, generating more leads, doing more marketing, the stuff that's important for what I got to do as a leader. All right, lead from the front. This graphic is on my wall in my office. I look at it every day. I don't like to be referred to as a boss, right? Bosses tell people what to do. They lead from the back, right? That's what managers do. Leaders lead from the front, right? You gotta lead by example. You gotta be the one that sets the pace. You gotta be the one out there doing the things that nobody else wants to do. You have to lead by example. And I believe that's true in all areas of life, whether it's your health, your relationships, just the way you conduct yourself. If you're gonna expect your people to operate at a high level, you gotta be the one doing it in the first place, right? I never trust a leader that might be really skilled in what they do, but then they're cheating on their wife, or they got a drinking problem, or they're overweight, whatever it is, like you gotta embody the entire aspect of all leadership, and you always gotta be leading from the front. So lead by example in all areas of business and life. Leadership and management are not the same. Obviously talked about that. 2 books, Gates of Fire and Genghis Khan, The Making of the Modern World. I love, they're not like business books, right, but they're leadership books. Gates of Fire is about the Spartans. That's the book that the movie 300 was based on. It's a way better book than it is movie. And Genghis Khan may not be like the ideal of like compassionate leadership, but he had a small army that conquered the known world with millions of more soldiers than he had, and it was because of his leadership ability, the things that he did. One of the things that I took away from reading this was he was the first empire leader in the world that didn't give jobs away to people that because they were related to him or they were like cronies of the empire, right? He empowered people that were different religions, different races, which was very modern at that point. If you were good at finance, you ran the finances, even if you were a different religion or different race. None of that stuff mattered to him. It was about ability, right? And that's why that operation was so successful. And the only thing that brought the Mongolian Empire down, does anybody know? Bubonic plague, right? I mean, we could all be speaking Mongolian right now if there wasn't for the bubonic plague. All right, and then ask yourself, do you ask your team to do things you're not willing to do? This is a big one, right? We do a scripts call every week, and a couple of weeks ago, my phone rang and it was a Zillow lead, and I just took it live and took the call live to show everybody like what I'm asking them to do, right? Follow the script, ask the right questions, have the right energy. You got to be willing to do those things, and I think as leaders get further and further along in the journey, they get further and away from the things that you're asking your team to do, and you got to be willing to actually get in there and still do those things when necessary. Sometimes it's not going to be all the time, but ask yourself, what are you asking your team to do that you're not willing to do yourself? All right, practice unconditional love. This is one that has really developed in my head a lot in the last 6 months. And I love this quote. The problem is everyone is looking for unconditional love, carrying around a bag full of conditions, right? And for me, if you love unconditionally, right? When you love your family unconditionally, you put your needs second, right? The people in your family, their needs come first. But a lot of times in business, we don't do that. Right? We treat our business relationships almost diabolically different than we treat our family relationships. And that is not a healthy way to grow a strong team culture and be a leader. And an example of this is, right? And I say this all the time. I joke to the team all the time. You guys disappoint me every single day. Like every day I'm disappointed, right? But it doesn't mean I stop loving them, right? My kids disappoint me all the time. My family, my parents disappoint me all the time. But you don't stop loving them. But in business, we do that, right? I can give you 10 leads, and you screw one of them up, and I say, I'm never giving you a lead again, right? That's the mindset that we have, right? Or our transaction manager messes one thing up, and we say, I got to fire that transaction manager and get another one. Instead of giving them some grace, giving them some love, right? So think about that. It makes a huge difference in the way we view the world is when we're just trying to love unconditionally and start from a place of trust, right? We so often are suspicious of the people we do business with, or we always have this idea that they have some ill intent or they're trying to get something out of us. There's all this crazy stuff that runs through our head, but we don't do that with the people we love unconditionally. So think about your business relationships in that way, is what are you doing to love unconditionally? Leaders Eat Last is a great book. You guys, Simon Sinek? Because Simon Sinek's got tons of leadership books, right? They're all good. This is something I learned in the Marines, is that when the operation ends and everybody is tired and dirty and exhausted, and the chow comes, who eats last, right? the guy in charge eats last because everybody else gets to get fed first. Their needs come before the leader's needs. And this book is just full of stories and resources about that. So check it out. And then ask yourself, do you treat your business relationships the same way you treat your family relationships? Because I think this is a big one that's missing a lot of times in our life and the way we approach our business relationships. All right, I'm kind of blowing through this, so I got a lot of time here. Practice and develop combat level trust. So this can seem extreme, but bear with me here on the perspective, right? This is a screenshot. If you Google Dylan Onaka Iraq, there's like a 5-minute interview of us. It looks like that. It's at night. It's during a night patrol. We had just gotten shot at, and the reporter is interviewing me about this experience, right? And I'm telling them how they weren't shooting at us because it sounds different. When bullets fly by you and bullets are just getting shot, there's a different sound. And this experience taught me that trust is like the most important thing, right? In any type of relationship, trust is super important. But are you trying to develop trust in a way that is combat level trust? And I'm gonna explain what that means in a second. So the book I like about this is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. He's a great business consultant now. He was a Navy SEAL. Just amazing examples of this combat level trust and how you can apply it in your business, in the business world. So it's not just military stories, but it's also business examples. And so this is the thing you got to ask yourself, right? Is if I'm behind the wall and I'm crouched down and the bullets are flying, this is the true test of a leader. Is I try and be a collaborative leader. I try and get buy-in from everybody, get input from everybody, not be a dictator. I try really hard. I'm super high D, so that's hard for me to do, but I'm very conscious of that. But there are times when the bullets are flying, and we're in a market where the bullets are flying, right? We need wartime CEOs in this market, that you're gonna have to just move towards the gunfire and not explain why. And if you have combat level trust, your people will get up and follow you and not ask why, right? If the mission requires that machine gun nest gets taken out, you're not going to be able to justify the reasoning behind it. You're just going to have to get up and move towards the gunfire. And if you're a true leader, your people will just get up and follow you because they trust you to that level. And it's a standard that you can examine when you're going through life and you're conducting yourself and you're doing business. Am I practicing? Am I conducting myself in a way that's building combat level trust with the people that I'm asking to follow me, right? And so it's extreme, but for me, that's the standard I gotta live up to in everything that I do because I can't ask them to follow me towards the gunfire if I don't have that level of trust. All right, and the last one, the infinite game. So this is a new concept I've come across, and I just love this, right? Leadership is an infinite game, right? There's two ways to think about life is you have finite goals, and that's why goal setting sometimes can be a little bit deceptive, is you reach your goal and then you chill, right? When really, if you're playing an infinite game, the goalpost is always moving. The Vietnam War was lost because the Vietnamese were playing an infinite game. Their game was to continue to fight and stay alive. We were trying to win a war. We were playing two different games, and you're never going to win a game against somebody playing an infinite game. And so you're never going to arrive and just be a leader and then it's all said and done, right? To me, leadership is infinite. You got to continue to be a leader. You got to continue to develop. It goes on forever until the day you decide to stop being a leader. Because when you step away from that and people stop following you, you're no longer a leader by definition, right? So think about that is longevity, and it's an infinite game, right? The learning is infinite. The love is infinite. All of these things that we're talking about, it's an infinite game. And there's a podcast here that you can listen to. And a huge takeaway I got recently, this is an Alex Hormozi quote, if you don't follow Alex Hormozi, but he talked about if you can push off the need for results or gratification for a year, right? You can just dedicate yourself to something and push it off for a year, you can change your life. You can literally change your life. If you can do it for a decade, if you can push off the need for any type of return or gratification for a decade, you can change many people's lives. But if you can push off the need for recognition, gratification infinitely and never have to see it in your lifetime, that's when you can change the world. And if you think about the people who have changed the world, right? Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, we can go down tons of examples. They never saw the impact that they had in the work that they dedicated their lives to in their lifetime. And their impact continues to go forward and impact millions around the world. So think about that in your goal setting and what you do and how you conduct yourself. Are you playing an infinite game? Because if you're playing a finite game, it's going to end at some point, or you're not going to find true success and happiness because you're always going to see, okay, I got there, but that wasn't really what I set out to do, right? So think about the infinite game as something that guides what you do. And by my infinite quote for this, I wake up every morning, I look in the mirror, and I ask myself, will you follow you? It's an easy test, right? You know if you're being the person who you say you are. You know if you're living up to the standard that you believe you're setting for yourself. You can't lie to yourself, and you're the most important person to keep promises to. So you know ask yourself, would you follow you? All right, so just a couple of takeaways. You're already leading people every day, right? If your goal is not to lead a huge organization or a huge sales team, that's cool. But you're leading other agents, you're leading people in your family, you're leading vendors, you're leading agents. The better leader you are, the better your business is going to be because you'll have those levels of trust. They'll know that you love them and you want to get this deal done. You're leading people every day, whether you know it or not, and you have to choose whether or not how good you want to be at that, right? And how heavily you want to leverage that. The world, I find this every single day, the world is looking for leadership, you guys. They are yearning for leadership, right? People want to follow something. They want to be a part of something. It's up to us to decide whether or not we want to be that person or not. So you have that opportunity every single day. And the last thing is just building legacy requires leadership, right? There's nobody, if you think about legacy and somebody who's left a legacy, leadership is synonymous with that. And so if you truly are interested, you're here today about the building a legacy track, you have to go out there and be a leader and lead people, and that's the only true path. That's a necessary step to the path to legacy. So with that, that's my time. That's my contact information, you guys. If you guys want to connect with me, thank you guys. If I can ever help you guys do anything, right, whether it's a 3-way call with a recruit, help you with a coaching session, whatever it is, the link to book a meeting is on there with all the rest of my social media and contact information. I wouldn't be here today if there wasn't so many people in this company that poured into me, and I'm 100% dedicated to giving that back. So if I can help you with anything, please reach out. And Kīnāʻole.